brothers drop down to their knees and make do a popsicle sticks race down the curb into the sewer.
Welcome back to Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour. I'm Mike Witzak.
I'm Rory Farrell.
And who's our special guest in the middle today?
This is Mike Sroka from eXp Realty.
Hell yeah.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah. And important to note also, Home Experts for You team under the eXp kind of brokerage banner. So,
Yes.
yeah. So I've been working with you and Matt for almost a decade now. We were doing like the math and I was like, oh shoot, when I started is like kind of when I met you guys, and that was probably 2016. So not quite a decade, but close. Right. So and you guys have been through a bunch. We've been through a bunch, but it's cool to kind of see this culminate here.
It is. It's you guys do a great job, by the way. I mean, you've always been helping us out, and you've always been supporting us, and that means a lot to us. So we always appreciate you guys do a phenomenal job.
Yeah, and you guys have had agents come and go, but it's always a good team. Like it's always like you always have solid agents coming and being on the team and doing things the right way and all that. So it's a testament to you guys.
Thank you. We've been lucky to have a good core of agents, and we keep the morale up and have our own, our own culture here at our office, which is really, really important, and people want to be a part of it. So we're happy to be able to sustain that and grow.
And I've sat in on a lot of your sales meetings over the years, and just you could tell that like when you're seeing it, but both like pre-COVID when a lot of them were in person, and then even through COVID and post-COVID when some are half in person, half Zoom, whatever people can kind of get to, like you feel the team,
right?
The team vibe with you guys. So it's tough to do. It's not just about being a realtor. It's about creating a culture and creating a team. So you guys have done a great job of that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, too much about work. We got to get into beer.
Yeah, what are we drinking?
So Mike has already jumped into the Oktoberfest, which was the previous episode with Matt, his team member and coworker. I also want to break out specifically because we're in Conshohocken, because you guys are so Conshohocken centric. I got a Conchi Brewing Company Hazy Life Coach. It's a session IPA, hazy. It's going to have a little opaqueness, low ABV. And
what does it say on the back? The early bird catches the worm, but the second mouse
gets the cheese. Words to live by, Conchi Brewing.
Right. I get it. That's pretty good.
Knowledge.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Maybe we'll post that in the. That's your quote, man. He loves doing quotes at the end
of the day.
Although we can't attribute this to anyone.
Yeah.
Specifically, but all right.
Good. Yeah. Cool.
Cheers. I will pour some beers out. You can have that one fully, or you can put it in the glass, whatever you want to do. That one's yours.
My father-in-law actually drinks Oktoberfest, so I'm used to it.
Old school German style. It's a lager. Typically, an amber lager. It's going to have a little extra sweetness to it.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's called Oktoberfest. They generally come out in August, September. And Oktoberfest in Munich and Germany and traditionally is in late September. It's not even October. So
a
little knowledge for you.
I love October. Probably one of the best months of the year.
Especially when it's 75 degrees.
Amen to that. Cheers, guys.
My birthday.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, when's your birthday?
October 7th.
Ooh, okay. We're about a month out, but happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So the way we generally jump into this is, how did you get started? How did you, where was your path from getting out of high school, getting into college? How'd you get into real estate?
It's not who is Mr. Soroka here?
Yeah, well, listen, I graduated from Temple University with a business degree.
Go Owls.
So I knew I always wanted to do something in the business side of business side of things. So for me, I never wanted anybody to tell me how much I could or couldn't make. I wanted me to decide that. So early on, I knew that I took all my classes at Temple. So during the time I was sitting for the real estate test, I actually did some accounting work and realized that if I don't interact with people and I'm just sitting at a desk all day, that's not going to work.
Yeah, that would be me.
Work for me. So
there's realtors and there's accountants, and they're not the same person.
Exactly.
My degree is actually in accounting.
So you know exactly what it is.
How's that going for you?
It's not going anywhere.
So the flip side.
Yeah.
So the other side was like, all right, listen, I know what I definitely don't want to do, but I know that I am personable. I wanted to learn about the real estate game. I was always interested in it. My family had investment properties. So it just seemed like a natural fit.
It seems like there's a lot of people who, like, when they're young, jump into it because they're like, oh, I saw my dad and my mom do it or whatever. Like, that's a really it makes it more palatable. Like,
yes.
When you're 20, getting out of college, 21, you're like, I can't buy a house. You said that. I didn't think that, but you were thinking that.
What's that?
Just I could buy a house at 22. That wasn't even in my zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but if your parents have done it, you're like, oh, this is the hurdles not as big.
Yeah, you see, I was the opposite. I was like, my parents didn't do this. I need to do this. Like, I need to change the ways and buy a house.
Yeah.
So it was just a totally different mindset. But I mean, So how did you get there?
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I just out of that, I started with a small firm here in Conshohocken back in the day, and I got a chance to meet a guy that did real estate at a high level, hyper local. Right.
Okay.
So if you wanted to buy a house in our area, there was like 1 or 2 people to go to.
And you grew up in this area?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the area. So I knew of the name. I knew the real estate in the area. I kind of knew, and I kind of put the pieces together. And then when I interviewed for the position, obviously they saw something in me to do it. And he kind of took me under his wing and, kind of went from there. And then we grew out of that small position, and I had a real estate partner previously. Then we went to a bigger firm we got recruited to, and that's where I really kind of like blossomed, right? Because then it was like, hey, there's other tools that are available to you guys, and this is how you grow your business. And this is how you run a business.
So that original one was just a small local brokerage,
small
and then you
local.
kind of graduated, quote unquote, graduated to like a bigger, more, national or, bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you had more systems in place, more coaching, more marketing, more support.
Exactly. So like almost climbing that ladder, right? It was like, okay, this is where you start everything. Here's the opportunity to take it to the next level. And then as an entrepreneur, another company came where all the entrepreneurs were going. And we were there for quite some time, and we really understood the business, learned, coached, just flourished and grew. And then, with the changes that are going on now and just trying to stay ahead of the curve of real estate and giving our agents resources and all the things they need at their fingertips, we felt that the next best move for us was to go to EXP.
Yeah. And that's recent.
Yeah, recent. I'm talking within the last month.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we talked to Matt a little bit about this, but there's a lot of brokerages out there. Why XP? Like what did you see in them that you felt was going to give you the, tools for success?
2 things. I think 2 big things is number one, the resources that they have that you can plug and play into is across the board, right? So it's not specific to one area. It's not specific to this or that brokerage. It's across the board. So the ease of the interface and the technology and the resources were unmatched. And then, another thing is the passive income that they offer their agents. You don't see it a lot in our industry, but if you do it the right way, you can build yourself a pretty good amount of passive income by helping other people also, join the company and do those types of things. And it's a revenue share, which is nice. It's not if something's not profitable, you don't get anything. It's as soon as you sell a house, right? So their model's a little different, the technology's a little different, and we felt like that's kind of where the industry was going. So why not be ahead of the curve? And I'm very happy we made the decision. We made a lot of good connections in a short time we were here, and we feel very, very good about what we did.
Well, self-admittedly, you're like, I don't like change.
I know. It took me a long time. Listen, I made a lot of good friends in the industry, and I treat everybody with a lot of respect and never had anything bad to say about anybody. Everything treated me really well. It was just a business decision, honestly, and that's really what it came down to is what's going to put us in the best position to help our agents become successful when the market is changing the way it is.
Yeah, especially right now, how dynamic it is and how much you have to adapt to figure out how to, keep food on your table, but also the people that are supporting you and your team and the people who you are beholden to, making sure that their table's full too.
Matt and I take that very seriously. It's we're responsible for a lot of people's families, not just mine and his, but success through others, right? Like if our agents are doing what they're supposed to be doing and they're reaching their goals and milestones, it just makes Matt and I that much more happier because then everyone's succeeding together.
Yeah.
That's really what the goal is.
Yeah.
You know who doesn't get that? Accountants. They don't care about people.
No.
The bottom line.
Care about April 15th.
Yes, don't talk to you anywhere from March.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
April 15th.
Exactly.
And then really past that too, because then they're on vacation for 2 months.
After that, they got to take a break.
Oh my God.
And it sounds like with their technology and with the systems and processes in place, like it wasn't that tough of a transition. Like I know for me, like starting something new, I'm probably similar to you. I'm like, and you put it off. But then when you get into it, you're like, all right, that wasn't so bad. But it's just like the mental putting it off. So once you got into it, it seemed like it was okay.
It was, and you get comfortable. Had such good relationships and just so comfortable and just so like, hey, you don't want to upset the apple cart, but at the same time, you need to do something to jumpstart, what's going on here. And as much as I was adverse to change, once I opened my eyes and saw the things that could potentially be, it made it a lot easier. And then once we did the transition and they had a team fly up here and help us do it, it made it a lot easier for everybody.
And who, you or Matt, who was the one who initially was like, good?
Well, I think Matt was more open to listening to some other options where I was just, I'm more day to day and just, this is what it is. And it's good because we did a lot of collaboration together and ultimately put a lot of time and energy into making sure that it was a decision that was going to fit everybody, not just me and him. Right. So as hard as it was something I think that was definitely needed. And I'm glad we did because it's just projecting us on a different path.
We're similar in your team where like Tom's like a big picture guy. Like he's like always thinking about the bigger picture. And then me and Mike often take the role and the responsibility of like, all right, how do we implement that? Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to have both elements, right? Because you can't have one without the other.
Right.
You can have a big picture, but if no one's going to kind of support you in that and then
and
vice
let
versa.
you do it. Yeah. It's like, we don't have to switch brokerages, thankfully, to achieve that. We just have a small company where he's like, you know what? Yeah, I understand. Like you guys are doing your thing. Like I'm here to support you. What do you need from me? And it's like, all right, cool. Let's do it. Let's and I think in a sense, real estate's different, but from a mortgage perspective, it's like we have a small company. We can grow this thing and turn it into, maybe an EXP. I don't know about that, but turn it into something similar where it's like, all right, we were like this company for 25 years. And then Tom's like, all right, you know what I mean? Like take whatever you need, do what you got to do and grow it. Now we're changing it into like a, podcast and we're hip.
I mean, to his credit, he's giving us who are younger and have less experience in the industry, he's giving us the benefit of the doubt saying like, all right, you guys are in a different, part of your career and different generation. Like we got to adapt a little bit, Yeah. But I think the key, and this is a great, I think, thing that kind of connects us is like the key part is it's always going to be a people business. It's always going to be treating people with respect, doing the right thing. All that stuff is always going to be at the core. But like, how do we reach the most amount of people today in this market, in this industry, in this generation?
It's just staying ahead of the curve. I mean, it's everybody knows that it's changing. It's changing rapidly. You can choose to either deny it, right, and try to hold on to it, or you can understand it, adapt it, and try to stay ahead of it.
Yep.
I think that's what we tried to do, and I think we're on that path to do that.
That's great.
In that vein, where do you see 2025? What are your goals? What are you excited about? What are you nervous about? How do you feel like that's going to stack up to 2024? We're not going to hold you to it.
No,
just predictions. No one's got a crystal ball.
Absolutely. Listen, we persevere, and I think that's a good thing about Matt and I and our team is even when the going gets tough, we still try to muscle through it because you can't give up. This was our lowest amount of transactions since we've been together as a team.
You were saying that, yeah.
So I think there's only one way to go from here, and that's up. And, if everything falls in line on what the market is telling us, we're going to have a pretty busy 2025. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of pin-up demand.
Oh, certainly
right?
demand.
I think people are just waiting, right, for whatever the catalyst is to start to do that. Mm-hmm. So whether it's the election, whether it's just a new year, whether it's the season, whatever it is, and the rate cut and all the things that are going on, I think all those things combined will make people want to make a move.
Yeah. I mean, not to get into the election at all, but we're filming this. You'll probably come out 2 weeks from now. Election just happened yesterday. Yeah. I think a lot of people are like, I'm just going to wait to see what happens in the election. I'm just going to wait. Yeah. So there's, like you said, to your point, like there's these like these points where people were waiting to, and whether that mattered or not, who knows? Right. But I think now people are like, all right, I got to the point where I'm waiting for. Let's do this. So I am excited about 2025. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
From a mortgage perspective, I do think eventually rates will come down and start stabilizing a little bit. I don't think they're going to be in the 2s or the 3s or the 4s anymore. No. But I think that people we in the past month and a half, they dropped to 6. Mm-hmm. They're back up to 7. Yep. Give or take.
They're in the high 5s sometimes.
Yeah, high 5s. We're doing refis for people at 5.5.
It was pretty nice.
Yeah, there was like this little that was awesome.
Right.
But then some people missed the boat. Now it's back up to the high 6s. I think when we're back into the high 5s, I think people are gonna be like, it's a mental switch. Whether it's 5.99 or 6 1/8, I think the 5s is a mental switch for people, and I think we're not that far off. Eventually, sooner than later, I hope. And I think that will really just mentally open up people's minds to selling when they have a 4% rate.
Yes.
Even if it's a 2, even if they have a 4 and they're at a 5.99, like just that one, one decimal difference or one whole number difference, people are gonna mentally be able to get over that hump.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. It was like, why am I going to sell my house and then have a higher rate and pay $300,000 more than what I'm living in now? So it maybe not have made financial sense at that point. Mm-hmm. but you can't stop the world from progressing. I mean, if you're having kids and you're outgrowing your house, rates aren't going to make that any different, right? Life still has to take place. So I think it just makes it more palatable now that a lot of the roadblocks maybe be out of the way. And you can see like, okay, here's a clear path. I got to do this, and this is what I need to do. And I'm hoping that people will see that and then understand, like, hey, no matter what happens, we still got to move.
Yeah, and I that's what I was about to say. I think it's coming to a point where it's like, 3, 4, 5 years down the line now from where rates were and people getting into homes at like 2-3%. No matter where rates are, you're eventually going to have to get a bigger home if you're having kids or if you're doing things like that. So it's like you can hold on for as long as you want, but there's going to be a time where it's like, all right, even if rates are 7%, we got to do something.
Yeah. When was the best time to buy? Yesterday, right? Like that's like the
right.
And it is interesting. It's like, I don't. You can speak to it. Maybe you can even speak to it. It's like I don't think any of my clients care what the rates. I mean, not that they don't care, but like they need to get a house.
Yeah.
So it's like they're like, I'll deal with the refi later. Like I'll figure that out. Like what's my monthly payment going to look like? Right. That's what they're really concerned about. If I can refi later, rates aren't as big of an issue as I think probably supply is.
Well, they're not, but you got to look at it this way. We tell our clients, like, listen, if you have to move, and you can get a decent price, you might have a higher rate now, but you can always refinance out because the sales price is the sales price. You've already paid it. So that's not going to change, right?
And by the way, that sale price will be $50,000 more. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
that's exactly right. So it's like if you like the house and the price is right, don't worry about the rate. That's going to change. You can always refi out and always get a better rate. But if you love the house, make the move. It's the best decision you need to do for yourself and your family.
And what a lot of people probably don't realize, like, hey, I bought it for $500,000, but I'm overpaying, whatever. But if I wait 3 years, it might be $550 or $575. Guess what? If you buy it now for $500 and it's $575 3 years from now, you can refinance at a lower rate, get rid of mortgage insurance, have a better rate because you have more equity. It's like buy yesterday, buy today. Like don't wait, And if you can afford it, obviously.
Yeah. And that's our job. We can't force people to buy or sell a house.
Yeah.
But we can give them the proper educational tools to make a good financial decision.
That's huge. Yeah. The education is, me and him are a lot of first-time home buyers, young home buyers, like they just don't get it, which you shouldn't. If you've never done it before, you shouldn't. And if you don't have the experience that you or I or Mike have in doing this day to day, it's like they might not realize the benefit of buying now versus and building the equity. It's like you have to educate, and then at that point, it's like you guys make the decision. I don't know what. A lot of times it's like I don't know what your daycare looks like. I don't know what your other finance because we don't look at a lot of that stuff when qualifying people.
Yep.
But this is the numbers. If you feel like you can afford that, now's the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I think that. I think we're in for a very good 2025. I think everyone I spoke with is pretty optimistic. I don't see anything that would be completely detrimental, barring any major world catastrophes. Right?
But, never know.
But other than that, I think we're gearing up. I really do, and I'm really positive, and I think we're in a good spot.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that wholeheartedly from our side too.
I've been saying that for years.
And look, we're all together.
I will
we stuck
be honest,
together through it. This is what's.
And we're not wearing masks.
Here, right? Yeah, we're not.
And we're in the same room.
We're all here. We're in the same room. We're all doing our thing, and it just gives it's a testament to everybody here that perseverance makes a big difference.
Yeah, if you can get through the past couple of years, we're all going to grow together.
It's the only common denominator between millionaires and billionaires. Is the only common denominator between any of them is not anything else besides perseverance.
Yeah,
that's the only common denominator.
Right. Exactly.
Where'd you hear that from?
It's like a proven fact. Look it up.
It's like, how do you measure perseverance?
Well, just the fact that they were able to persevere through business and everything that they did.
It's too easy to give you a hard.
I was gonna say, I don't measure it. I don't know.
And you didn't know you were sitting next to Tony Robbins over here.
I'm just stating something I heard. That's all.
It's all about the perseverance.
It's cool.
Yes.
I'm persevering through you bullying me right now.
You have to do that every day.
Yeah, fair enough.
Common.
Yeah.
I want to get it. Your office looks awesome.
Thank you.
You're upgrading. You're moving things around. Like it's cool. Like did that come with the XP thing? Like, or was that just like a time and a place we needed to upgrade a little bit?
We knew we had to do it, but this was the time to do it all at one shot.
Yeah. Nice.
Right. So it was like, all right, if we're going to rebrand and we're going to do all this stuff, let's get everything done at once. Make it an awesome environment and have people for fun come in, make it easy, and we want people to come in. We have so much fun here, and the collaboration, and we love people coming into the office. It just helps everybody, and it makes for an awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, and you guys do a good job. I kind of touched on it with Matt a little bit, but he didn't expand as much as I kind of wanted him to. Like, you guys are a huge part of the community.
Oh, yeah.
Charities, fundraisers. Like, speak a little bit about that. And, like, people do that because it's good for business, stuff like that. But also, you're part of the community. You've been a part of the community. Matt's been a part. Like, why? How do you pick the places that you're connected with? Talk a little bit about that. I think it's important.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And you got to give back, right?
Yep.
If you have the ability to do it, it's part of why you do what you do, right? And to see all the people that we've helped buy and sell houses, how that's changed their lives, and it's the people in our community. So why not support the people in our community, people that might need our help or resources, you know what I mean? So it's great when you can physically see the change in front of you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's good to give to charities, United Way, all the things, but sometimes you don't see where that can go.
Just blindly send it off into the internet.
And it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but it's a different type of feeling when you can see it in your community on a day to day, and you're seeing, we're doing the food pantries and the clothing drives, and the people that are less fortunate, and the Meals on Wheels and all the stuff like that. So it's kind of good to see some of the clients or the clients, extended clients that you can actually help by doing that kind of stuff. And it really does go a long way. And it's not just because we're trying to do marketing and stuff like that. It's just because it's part of what we are as a team.
Yeah.
And we almost always have all the participation from everybody, and people, always can appreciate some of the things that we do. And we're just fortunate to be able to do it. It really does mean a lot to us. And, with that kind of stuff and the mentoring of people, we do a lot of the high school kids will come in and they'll mentor, that want to do stuff like in real
turn
estate.
into a real agent sometime.
Right? Exactly. That's kind of cool. And then, the local food drives and us doing things. I'm on the Economic Development Corp for our town. So, we have a couple $1 million that we can lend to businesses that want to bring their business in the Conshohocken area, start jobs and economic development. So there's a lot of resources that we have as a team and as a group that we can certainly help people. And I think it's really, really important that when you get to a certain level, you can give back, right? Because that's part of why you do what you do.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
Especially when you've grown up in this community,
Yes.
like you have a reason to give back. Not that anyone needs a reason, but like, you feel good about giving back to your own community. We just talked about that.
I was just about to say, we were just having this conversation on the way here about how, like, presidential election aside, it's like if you really want to make a difference in your life or your community, you live in this community. This is what you see on a daily basis. 99% of the things the president deals with, you're not going to see.
Right.
So it's like, how can you help your community? What do you do to do that? And everything you just named was what I was talking about with Rory. Like growing up in the Poconos and being in these like small coal towns, you're like, at least me personally, I'm like, I want to go back there and like, that's where I want to buy my rental properties. That's where I want to, invest my money in, because it's like, I want to give back to them as much as I can, like try and grow that economy and stimulate it in any way I can, and do the food drives, do things like that. It just makes me like, oh, this is where I grew up. These are my roots. Like, I don't want to forget about this. And it's very important to me to see them like prosper as well. So it's really cool. It's like cool to hear you say that.
It is. And then even the education side of things, and we give a lot to the Catholic schools, you know what I mean? Like, obviously we want to further the education and give opportunity to kids, because, that's probably near and dear. I mean, having a 5-year-old, I know I'm a little older than a 5-year-old, but I never really realized it now that, you have it and you're like, okay, what else can I do to influence maybe the other families that have kids my age that can't do the things that we can do?
Yeah.
Right. And you realize how fortunate you are and some of the things that you can do that other people can't.
Yep.
So, doing the educational things and giving back to the community and letting kids have opportunity to better themselves and their lives and their families is really, really cool to see.
Yeah. No matter how much of a tough guy you are, you have a kid, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, like I'm not as tough as I thought I was. It just puts like a whole different empathetic view. Color, glasses on.
It's just so cool to see. It's cool. You're right. Yeah, it is. I mean, you don't know it. You don't know until you're in that position.
Yeah. I could just all I could think about is my dad. My dad's a nut, but shout out.
Well, sometimes I feel like you as my child.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, like I look at you as a brother, but I guess I could look at you as a dad. I don't know.
A young hip dad.
Yeah, sure, dude. Yeah, young and hip dad. You would have been 15 having me.
Yeah. Good
15.
style.
Yep. 2000.
Yep.
What? They're 99.
Yeah.
Oh,
Could have happened.
Yeah.
Nice.
Could have.
Nice.
Yeah. Not out of the picture, but anyway.
Very nice.
But no, yeah, I think regardless, just even hearing you say that kind of makes me. You were talking about like giving back to the Catholic schools and stuff, and made me think about my high school. I'm like, I kind of want to, like,
Shout out Marion.
Shout out Marion Catholic.
Nice.
Even if it's like something small, I'm thinking like, if I donate couple $100 a year to some kid that like family can't pay the tuition there.
Exactly.
It's like that's it just makes me feel happy as a person knowing like, hey, I know my parents struggled to put me through that high school. Like, hey, give somebody a little bit of relief, So you may have just motivated me to do something here. So.
I mean, it's even like a anonymous donation.
Yeah,
right? You don't even
absolutely.
need to have it's just knowing that you're helping somebody
Yeah,
that didn't have the opportunity that you had.
feels good.
Right? And that's paying it forward, right? I think that's really what it's all about. It's like as each generation goes, you try to do something different that the previous generation couldn't do.
Yeah.
So I think we're very passionate about it. We're most important, we're able to do it, and I think that's the most important.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's
I love
awesome.
Yep.
I got, I think, one more question. Do you have anything? I got one more question.
Nah, dude, I'm good.
Fire away.
I'm just
Matt really buried him.
yeah,
the first
Matt,
podcast.
Matt fucking hit me hard, dude.
You should be the one who's in this type of shape.
kind of yeah.
You guys have been
That's what
you guys have been posting recently about and I forget what the term you guys call it and speak to it, but basically finding homes that need to be listed but need a little TLC.
Yes, our smart cell program.
Yeah, and I think it's very cool and it's unique, and you guys have been posting about it. I hope you don't mind me bringing it up.
Oh no, it's awesome.
So
I'm glad you
speak
are.
to that. Tell people what it is, and
I'm kind of curious about this now.
Yeah, listen, it's really cool. I mean, we have resources that we can actually help people that might not be able to fix their house up themselves. I mean, you go to a property. I mean, not every time. It's very rare where it's like turnkey. You're like, okay, we'll have the pictures come out tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
We're getting on the market in 2 days. I mean, it's,
Yep.
there's always some type of preparation needs to be done, and with the way everything's been in the last couple of years, people want to maximize their sale of their house, but they might not have the resources.
you can't access that equity ahead of time.
Access equity, right?
Yeah.
Or they just don't know who to call or have the contractors or know what to do, right? Because they'll be like, what if I do X, Y, Z? And I'm like, well, you don't want to do that because it's not going to add any value. to
Yeah,
the
then what's
property.
the ROI? Yeah.
Right. So we go in and we evaluate a property. We can lend the money. And most of the times we don't get paid until settlement, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, we're going to get you a better return than you could do it on your own. You don't have to do anything. Just let us take care of it. And then in certain circumstances, we've actually done a JV with the owner where we actually become equitable owner in the property. We don't buy it,
Okay.
right? But we take it over. They still hold on to it. We do all the fix-up costs. Could be $150,000, right?
That much.
That much.
Okay.
Wow.
Done a whole house rehab where maybe the house was worth 200. We put 150 into it. We sell for 550.
Boom.
Right. So the seller gets that much more money for not doing anything.
Yeah, you take on all the responsibility, the financial,
Right.
the sweat. Yeah, not even sweat equity, but like putting it and getting the contractors, getting all that.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, that's more valuable than the money sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is.
It really is. Yeah.
So you put the original money they were going to get, plus we get paid back, and then there's all this profit that you can split with the owner.
Yeah.
And we don't have to buy it, right? We're not doing all the closing costs and doing all that kind of stuff and transferring title. It still stays in the seller's name. We just make sure that it's in the best position possible, and then we can divvy up the profits.
And I imagine with the laws hey, I'm your listing agent, like there has to be something written into that and where you're protected from not giving someone 150 grand.
Absolutely.
Like having the logistics of figuring that whole thing out has got to be
The joint venture
a little
is-
sketchy. Yeah.
It's a legal document, right? We get it recorded. That if for some reason the house doesn't sell, we get our money when it does.
When it does sell, yeah.
Right.
Regardless
Yeah.
of who sells it, if that becomes the issue.
Right.
Hopefully it's not, but-
yeah, hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not. But most of the people, it's a case by case basis, right? So it can be $5,000, it can be $100,000. It doesn't really matter. As long as the people are willing to work with us and see the value in it, we can help a lot more people than if we just did a straight listing.
So what are like the main things that you have seen be successful? Like, new bathroom or new kitchen or, new roof, or like, what are the things that you feel like have the most, hold on. What are the improvements that you've seen be successful as far as like, what's the best ROI, or like, what have you seen you've done so far?
Yeah. So 2-tier, right? What stops the house from functioning properly? Is the electric up to date? Is it safe? Is the plumbing usable? Right? Is the house? Does the roof? Is it leaking? Those are the major things that you say. Listen, these are things that are going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
They might not add value to it, but they need to be working.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter what the value.
Right.
Like, you're not going to sell a house if you got a leaky roof
Exactly.
or yeah.
So that's the one aspect, and the second is the basic cosmetics, right? Paint and carpet can do so much to a house, and people just aesthetically see it, and they're like, when you go into an old drabby house, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh man, I gotta do all this work, and
Like a bright neon green
yeah.
living room or something.
it just turns off, and the pictures look horrible, right? The perception sometimes is huge as well, because you're like, okay, at least it shows well. The pictures are awesome. Somebody can actually do what they want to do when they buy.
They can envision
Right.
their family being in that house.
Right.
Yeah.
And it presents the house better. So paint and carpet, obviously anything we can do with a kitchen and bathroom would be basic. We don't want to try not to get into a full rehab, because we don't want to rehab it to not someone else's taste.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
Right. We just want to make it as clean and presentable as possible, so somebody else can, like you said, can envision what they want to do to it. But, the paint and carpet has been big. Landscaping is huge. Curb appeal, all those types of things that you always hear in real estate.
Yep.
They're still true, no matter what, right? Like the perception is hugely important. And if we can put the best spin on the house before it goes on the market, it gives the seller the best option to get the most money.
Yeah. And I think it's a very cool and unique way to like think outside the box and get your sellers more money and make you guys a little, like I said, passive income, like just being adaptive.
It's a win-win. And just, because I say people come to us and be like, I need this done. Where do I do? You know what I mean? And it's like, you want to help everybody, and but I don't have the money to do this, or how do I get the money to do that? And we're trying to solve as many problems as we can for our clients.
Yeah. And then, like you said, it's the money issue, but it's also the contractor, like,
oh yeah, God, people getting burned. You know what I mean? Oh, I paid this guy, never showed up, and all this other stuff that you hear.
Just getting done in a timely manner. Like, even if you have a guy, anyone good, not good, might be 6 months down the line before you get them in. So having that contact list of good people, trusted people, local people.
Like I was just with Tom the other day about buying this place, and we were talking about.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
We'll talk about it after. But like we were talking about buying that place, and my biggest concern was like, all right, we can figure out the money piece. We're like, who the fuck's gonna do all this work? Like, what are we? It's
like a 6-unit place too, or something.
Yeah,
right? It's a lot of work.
I don't know a single contractor, and I know everybody up there. I don't know a single contractor that's going to be reliable and do this on time. Like I can't even. I was like, I couldn't think.
You're not gonna rope Tom into that.
No.
you
I'm
get
like,
fired.
Get a hammer on.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. Like so it's really important to have those contacts and know people that's going to be able to do that. So it's like, if you show up to somebody's house and you're like, yeah, we can list this for $200,000, but if you give us a couple months or however long it takes and maybe a few phone calls, we'll throw the money up front. We'll sell it for X amount more. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get so much more money out of it. We'll get some of it too for putting in the work. But like, hey, look, you would have never made this money if you didn't.
Yeah, think outside the box.
Yeah, that's huge. That's like such a cool. Dude, I love that. It's such a good idea.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been something. We did it on the side because someone asked us to help, and then I realized this is an opportunity.
It's huge value.
We can actually put out there for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
Damn.
We've had a lot of clients take advantage of it, and I'm very happy we're able to do that.
I'm really like, I'd put money down right now. You're gonna see a lot of people start doing this over the next couple.
Cool.
Yeah, and you could say you're the trendsetter.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm all right.
Patent pending.
I'm all right.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, really good.
Good.
So, anything else, or?
I think that's good. You got anything you want to promote?
Listen, I mean,
Are you excited about?
Listen, we're just excited to be here, right? And we're excited to be partners with you guys, and we're excited for the new venture, and more importantly, what's going to be on the horizon for 2025. And I think that we're embedded in doubling down, right, on the real estate business. We believe in it. We do what we say we're going to do. We don't tell people to do stuff that we wouldn't do ourselves, whether it's buying investments, whether it's, property management that we can help with, whether it's just, you name it. There's a lot of resources that we can offer people, and I don't want them to go wasted. So please reach out to us. I mean, even if it's just a conversation or a consult, we've been doing a lot of probate. We're probate certified. We're senior specialist certified, where we deal with people that are going in assisted living. We have so many different designations and certifications and experience, whether it's new construction, development, buying your first rental property, having us manage it. We just had somebody, we just had somebody that came to us that says, I want to buy an investment property. What do I do? We got him an attorney, got him an LLC, got him a bank account, got him a accountant, found the house, rehabbed it for him, put a tenant in there, and now we're managing it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All from the very beginning. He had no idea what he was doing.
And
Perfect.
You not only have done that professionally, but personally you've done that, all that stuff. So it's like, I think that's a huge benefit when you do stuff like with your rentals. It's like, all right, now I know what they're feeling.
Right. Yeah.
Like I know the things that stress me out, or the things where I wish I would have known in the beginning. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's good to be a resource. I mean, it's if you save people time and money from having to fail or make a mistake, you know what I mean? You see the success at the end. It's awesome.
You get a client for life there.
I just love it. They will do anything for us. They're so grateful, and it's just something that we're happy to do.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Love it.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
All right. Well, great. Well, Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thank you
Happy
for coming
Friday.
on.
Yeah.
It's
Thanks
been a
so
long
much.
time coming.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank
Mike
you very much for
Sroka,
having
Home
me.
Experts for You team,
Yeah.
EXP.
Yeah.
Follow them on Instagram. Check out their website.
Yes.
Call them for any real estate needs.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Amen.
Talk to you guys
All
soon. Happy Friday.
Friday.
It's just newer while brothers drop down to their knees and make newer. Popsicle sticks race down the curb into the sewer.